Chosen one, why do you keep waking up at 3:47 a.m. with your heart pounding? Why does every doctor's appointment feel like a deadline? Why, when you look at your grandchildren, do you suddenly feel like you're running out of something you can't name? It's not anxiety, it's not old age, it's a countdown. Listen to me carefully. Somebody watching me right now, yes, you has been feeling it, not in your mind, in your spirit. A quiet ticking, a pressure in your chest that won't let you rest. You check the clock. 2 a.m., 4 a.m., wide awake, staring at the ceiling. And somewhere deep inside, you know something is about to run out. You're not losing your mind, you're hearing eternity. There's a clock in the spirit realm that doesn't run on batteries or electricity. It runs on divine timing. And right now, this very moment, that clock is counting down over your life, not to your death, to your door, the door God opened specifically for you. And if you ignore what I'm about to tell you, that door will close. Not because God is cruel, because time is sacred. The countdown has already begun, and heaven is refusing to stay silent. Before I go deeper, let me pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and sow that seed of faith. Now, listen. You've been to enough funerals to know time isn't a theory, it's a thief if you're not ready. You've outlived friends who were healthier than you. You've watched grandkids grow up in what feels like seconds. You've held doctor reports in trembling hands, wondering how many more years you have left. But what if I told you that's not the clock that matters? What if the real countdown isn't about how much time you have left on earth, but how much time you have left to walk through the door God has opened? Noah had 120 years to warn the world. Then the door closed. The 10 virgins waited for the bridegroom. 5 were ready, 5 weren't. And Matthew 25 says when the door shut, it stayed shut. God has always warned his people before a door closes. If you're already feeling that this word is for you, if something in your chest just stirred, type "I'm still here, Lord" in the comments right now. Let heaven see you're listening. And whatever you do, don't click away. The moment you're tempted to leave is the moment the enemy is hoping you will. Before this message ends, you'll understand exactly what that door is. You'll know why you've been feeling this urgency. And you'll discover what happens if you miss it. If you're watching this, it's not random. It means your countdown has begun, and heaven is refusing to stay silent. Have you been whispering to God in the dark, asking him if you missed your moment? Have you been lying awake, wondering if all those mistakes, that divorce, those wasted years in the wrong job, the kids who won't call, have you been wondering if all of that cancelled your calling? Have you secretly believed that God's plan for your life expired somewhere around age 55? Listen to me. That voice isn't the Holy Spirit. That's the enemy's last-ditch effort to sideline you right before your greatest assignment begins. You've been asking the wrong question. The question isn't, did I miss my chance? The question is, why did God make me wait until now? And the answer is going to shake you. See, the world looks at you and sees retirement. They see someone who's supposed to step aside, slow down, fade into the background. They handed you a gold watch and told you your productive years were over. But heaven has been watching something completely different unfold. Every broken marriage taught you about covenant when others only knew convenience. Every year you stayed in that soul-crushing job taught you endurance that millennials will never understand. Every Sunday you sat in that toxic church, biting your tongue, choosing peace over being right. That wasn't weakness. That was boot camp. You're not behind, beloved. You've been in training. Let me tell you something about God's strategy that most preachers won't say out loud. Chosen ones aren't just 20-year-olds on fire at worship conferences. Some of the most dangerous chosen ones on this planet right now are in their 60s, 70s, even their 80s. You know why? Because you've got something the young guns don't have. You've got scars that turned into wisdom. You've got failures that became faith. You've got decades of watching God show up when the bank account said he wouldn't. Moses was 80 when God called him to the burning bush. 80 years old. The man had spent 40 years thinking he was somebody in Pharaoh's palace, then 40 years thinking he was nobody in the desert. And right when the world would have put him in a nursing home, God said, "Now you're ready. Now you understand what power really is." Sarah was 90 when she gave birth to promise. Abraham was 75 when God told him to pack up everything and leave. These weren't young dreamers. These were seasoned warriors who'd been refined by fire. You want to know what you really are? You're a fourth quarter believer. And if you know anything about football, you know this: great coaches save certain players for the fourth quarter, not because they're weak, because they're clutch. Because when the pressure's highest and the stakes are life or death, you need someone who won't crack. God waited to release some of your assignments until now because the younger version of you wasn't ready for the wait. That version of you at 30 would have taken credit. That version at 40 would have burned out. That version at 50 was still too concerned with what people thought. But this version, the you that's been humbled by life, that's buried dreams and loved ones, that's learned to worship in the wilderness, this version of you is finally qualified for what heaven has been preparing. If you felt more spiritual warfare in the last 5 years than the previous 20 combined, let me know in the comments right now. Just type "that's me," because you need to understand something: the enemy doesn't waste ammunition on people who don't matter. The fact that the attacks have intensified means you're getting close to something he's terrified of. You thought the depression was random. You thought the health battles were just aging. You thought the isolation was punishment. But what if all of that was strategic opposition? What if hell saw what heaven was about to release through you and threw everything it had to stop you before the clock ran out? In a few minutes, I'm going to tell you exactly what this countdown is leading to and what door is about to close. But first, you need to understand why the fight has been so intense. You need to see that every battle, every loss, every moment you almost quit but didn't, it was all preparing you for this hour. 2 Corinthians 4:17 says it straight. "Our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory." Your affliction wasn't pointless. It was producing something, building something, preparing you for a weight of glory that would have crushed an unprepared vessel. The funerals you've attended weren't just grief, they were perspective. The grandchildren you're watching grow up aren't just joy, they're urgency. The doctor reports you've received aren't just reality checks, they're divine alarm clocks. Everything has been waking you up to this moment. You're not watching this because your life is over. You're watching this because heaven just turned the page. And what's written on the next page is going to require everything you've learned, everything you've survived, everything you've become. But here's what you need to know, and this is where the countdown becomes critical: that page won't stay open forever. You felt something when I said that, didn't you? That stirring in your chest. That's not fear, beloved. That's recognition. Your spirit knows what your mind is still trying to process. So let me explain what this countdown really is. It's not about setting dates. It's not about prophecy charts or end-time speculation. This is something far more personal, far more immediate. This is about you and the limited window God has opened specifically for your life right now. See, there are two kinds of time operating simultaneously. There's Chronos time, that's the clock on your wall, the calendar on your fridge, the years you count when someone asks your age. You understand Chronos. You've lived 70, 80, maybe 90 years of it. You know how fast it moves now, how December becomes January before you blink, how grandchildren grow from babies to teenagers in what feels like a weekend. But then there's Kairos time. That's God's time. That's the appointed moment, the fullness of time, the window of grace where heaven and earth collide and something becomes possible that wasn't possible yesterday and might not be possible tomorrow. King David understood this when he cried out in Psalm 90:12, Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. He wasn't asking God to help him count birthdays. He was begging for the ability to recognize which days matter, which moments carry weight, which doors won't stay open forever. And the writer of Hebrews? He got urgent about it. Hebrews 3:15 doesn't whisper, it shouts, "Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts, not tomorrow, not next week, when you feel more ready. Today, because tomorrow that voice might be quieter, that door might be narrower, that grace might require more from you to access." Let me paint you a picture. You've been to the airport, right? You're sitting at the gate, waiting to board. Maybe you got there early. Maybe you're reading, having coffee, watching people. You're comfortable. The plane is right there. The door is open. You can see it. You think you've got time. Then you hear it. That announcement. This is the final boarding call for flight 4272. And suddenly, comfortable doesn't matter anymore. The door is still open, yes, but not for long. The gate agent is looking around. They're about to close it. And once that door shuts, it doesn't matter that the plane is still sitting there. It doesn't matter that you have a ticket. You missed it. This message is heaven's final boarding call for an area in your life. And I need you to hear me on this. This isn't manipulation. This isn't me trying to scare you into anything. This is a seasoned voice telling you what I've watched happen in my 50 years of walking with God and his people. I've seen windows close. I've seen grace seasons end. I've seen people wait too long. When the countdown hits 0, what is open now will not be as easy to reach again. Maybe it's forgiveness. You know exactly who I'm talking about, don't you? That son who broke your heart. That daughter who hasn't called in 3 years. That ex-spouse who destroyed your life. That parent who damaged you decades ago. You've been holding on to that bitterness like it's protecting you, but it's poisoning you. And there's a window open right now today where God is making it supernaturally possible for you to release it. But that window won't stay open forever. Maybe it's your calling, that thing you felt tugging at your spirit for years, that ministry idea, that book you were supposed to write, that person you were supposed to mentor. You keep saying someday, but someday isn't a day on God's calendar. And every year you wait, that door closes a little more. Maybe it's a secret sin, an addiction nobody knows about, pills, alcohol, pornography hidden on your phone, bitterness you've dressed up as righteous anger. You've convinced yourself it's not that bad. You're managing it. But you're 73 years old, and you're still in bondage to something that should have been dead decades ago. And right now, there's grace to break it. But when this countdown hits 0, that stronghold gets stronger, not weaker. Maybe it's intimacy with God himself. When's the last time you had a real conversation with him? Not a religious prayer. Not a blessing over dinner. When's the last time you sat in his presence until you felt his presence? You used to know that. Years ago, you knew what it felt like when he was close. But somewhere along the way, you traded intimacy for routine. And there's a window open right now to get that back. But beloved, that window is closing. When the countdown hits 0, what is open now will not be as easy to reach again. Or maybe, and this is the most important one, maybe you've never truly said yes to Jesus. You've been in church, you've sung the songs, you know the language, but you've never surrendered. You've been religious but not redeemed. And there's a door open right now. But that door won't stay open past your last breath. Right where you are, whisper it. Lord, where is my countdown? Don't move past this moment. Keep listening. He's going to highlight it while we're talking. Some of you already know the exact area God is pointing to. You felt it the second I said it. You don't need another sign. You don't need more clarity. This message is the sign. The question is, what are you going to do about it? You know what keeps me up at night? It's not the doors that slammed in my face. It's the ones that stood wide open while I walked past, like I had forever. Let me take you somewhere. Picture this. You're standing in a long hallway. One of those old New York apartment buildings, 40 floors, narrow corridors, dim yellow lights overhead. Every door looks the same from the outside. Same number plate, same peeling paint. But behind each one, a completely different life. That's where you are right now, chosen one. Standing in a hallway between what was and what could be. And some of these doors, they're cracked open, lights pouring out. You can almost hear what's inside, but you keep walking. Maybe later, maybe when I'm ready, maybe when I feel worthy. But here's what heaven is trying to tell you. Later is a luxury you no longer have. Revelation 3:8 says it plainly. I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. God opens doors. But listen carefully to what it doesn't say. It doesn't say the door stays open forever. It says no person can shut what God opens, but time can close it. Your hesitation, that can close it. Your fear, that'll slam it shut while you're still deciding if you're qualified. You've lived long enough to know exactly what I'm talking about. Remember that job opportunity you didn't take because you were scared. Remember that relationship you could have healed, but pride kept you silent. Remember that dream you buried because someone told you it was foolish. Those weren't just missed chances. Those were open doors you walked past. And now you lie awake at 3 a.m. wondering what your life would look like if you'd had the courage to walk through. I'm not here to torture you with regret. I'm here to wake you up before it happens again. Because here's the mystery most people miss. Some doors God closed to save your life. That marriage that didn't work out. That door closed because what was waiting on the other side would have destroyed you. That business deal that fell through, heaven saw the trap. That move you couldn't make, God was protecting you from something your natural eyes couldn't see. But other doors, the ones that still haunt you, those weren't closed by God. Those were closed by your fear, your doubt, your belief that you weren't enough. And the enemy celebrated every time you walked past an open door, whispering, you're too old, too broken, too late. Let me tell you about another door. Matthew 25. 10 virgins waiting for the bridegroom. 5 were wise, 5 were foolish. And when the bridegroom finally came, verse 10 cuts like a knife. Those who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet. And the door was shut. The door was shut. 4 words that changed eternity for 5 women. They knocked, they begged, Lord, Lord, open the door for us. But verse 12 is the most terrifying sentence in Scripture. Truly I tell you, I don't know you. Not come back tomorrow, not try again next year. The door closed, the moment passed, the countdown ended. And you want to know what kept them out? They weren't evil. They weren't rebellious. They just weren't ready when the moment came. They thought they had more time. Dear one, does that sound familiar? How many times have you told yourself, I'll get right with God next month. I'll follow that prompting next year. I'll step into my calling when I retire, when the kids are grown, when I feel more prepared. But preparation is what you do while the door is open, not what you wait for before you walk through it. Think about Noah. Genesis 7:16 says something that should shake you. Then the Lord shut him in. God himself closed that door. For 120 years, Noah preached. For 120 years, the door stood open. People mocked him, laughed at him, called him crazy for building a boat when there was no rain. But when the rain started, when the floods came, the door was already shut, and no amount of pounding, screaming, or regretting could open it again. The worst pain in life isn't what people shut in your face. It's the door God opened that you walked past like you had forever. But here's why I call this a countdown and not a closed case. Because right now, this very moment, there's still a door standing open for you. I don't know what's behind it. Maybe it's reconciliation with your children. Maybe it's the ministry you've been running from. Maybe it's finally dealing with that addiction, that bitterness, that secret you've carried for 40 years. Maybe it's simply the door to say yes to God with whatever time you have left. Whatever it is, it's open. Today, right now. But the countdown is ticking. If this word about doors is hitting your spirit, If you're feeling that urgency rising in your chest, don't just sit there. Write it down. Lord, don't let me miss this door. Let that be your prayer, your public declaration, your line in the sand. Because in the next part, I'm going to show you the 3 unmistakable signs that your current door is about to close. And if you see even one of these signs in your life right now, you'll understand why heaven orchestrated this moment for you to hear this message. But the question burning in your spirit is this: what if you've already missed too many doors? What if it really is too late? Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will shatter that lie forever. Now here's what nobody wants to tell you, but I will. That countdown I'm talking about, it comes with tests, final exams from heaven. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you're sitting in the middle of yours. These aren't random struggles, beloved. They're strategic. God is watching how you respond in this narrow window before the door closes. And the enemy, he knows your time is limited, so he's throwing everything he's got at you to make sure you fail. Let me show you exactly what these tests look like. And I guarantee, you're going to recognize yourself in at least one of them. Test number 1, the comfort trap. You hear it, don't you? That nudge, that whisper in your spirit at 4 a.m. Call your daughter, forgive your sister, start that prayer group, give that money to the ministry. You know exactly what I'm talking about. God has been speaking clearly, but you keep saying the same thing. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm tired. I'm too old. Let me rest first. Listen to me carefully. Hebrews 3:15 warns us. Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because here's what the enemy does. He disguises disobedience as rest. He makes procrastination look like wisdom. You've worked hard your whole life. You deserve to relax now. God understands. But what if God's urgency isn't cruelty? What if it's mercy? What if he's saying, move now because the window is closing and I need you positioned before it shuts? How many times has he asked you to do something simple, make a phone call, write a letter, show up somewhere, and you didn't? Not because you couldn't, because comfort felt safer than obedience. That's the test. And beloved, I need you to hear this. Delayed obedience is disobedience dressed in excuses. Test number 2. The offense magnet. Have you noticed? Suddenly everything irritates you. Your son-in-law's comment at dinner, the way your neighbor parks their car, that woman at church who always sits in your pew. Things that never bothered you before are now setting you off like a fire alarm. And the old wounds? Oh, they're back with a vengeance. That thing your brother said in 1987. That friend who betrayed you in 2003. You thought you'd forgiven them. But here it is again, playing in your mind like a broken record at 2 a.m. This is not random. This is warfare. The enemy knows something you don't fully realize yet. Unforgiveness is a locked door from the inside. Matthew 6:15 doesn't stutter. If you do not forgive others their sins, your Father will not forgive your sins. That's not a suggestion. That's a spiritual law. Right now, in your countdown window, God is bringing every unhealed relationship to the surface. Not to torture you, to free you. Because he can't take you through the door you're meant to walk through while you're chained to people and offenses from 30 years ago. So ask yourself, who am I still angry at? Whose name makes my chest tight? What conversation have I been avoiding because my pride won't let me bend? That's your test. And heaven is watching how you respond. Test number 3, the nostalgia chain. Be honest with me. How much time do you spend replaying the past? The marriage that ended, the career that never took off, the kids who moved away and barely call, the dreams that died, the body that used to work, the friends who are already gone. You sit in that chair, staring at old photos, and the past gets more airtime than God's voice. You know every detail of what went wrong, but you can't hear what he's saying about what's coming next. Philippians 3:13 cuts straight to it. Forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead. But you can't strain toward anything when you're handcuffed to yesterday. And here's the brutal truth. Nostalgia isn't just memory, it's a prison. The enemy loves keeping you there because as long as you're looking backward, you can't walk forward. And that door God opened? It's ahead of you, not behind you. I know it hurts. I know you lost things that mattered. I know some wounds never fully heal on this side of eternity. But God is asking you right now, will you let what you lost keep you from what I'm offering? Will you spend your final years mourning the past or claiming the future? Test number 4, the silent heaven stage. And then there's this one, the one that scares you most. You used to hear God clearly. His voice was sharp, direct, unmistakable. But now, silence. You pray, and it feels like your words hit the ceiling and fall back down. You cry out and hear nothing. And you wonder, did I wait too long? Did I ignore him so many times that he stopped speaking? No, listen to me. His silence is not his absence. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Sometimes God goes quiet because he's already given you everything you need to know. Sometimes his silence is not rejection, it's a pause before a verdict. He's waiting to see what you'll do with the last thing he told you. You want to hear his voice again? Go back to the last thing he said and do it. Stop asking for new revelation when you haven't obeyed old instruction. The silence isn't punishment. It's an opportunity to prove you're serious. If you're recognizing yourself in even one of these tests, that's not condemnation. That's confirmation. You're not abandoned. You're in evaluation. And the fact that you're still watching this message, that means you haven't failed yet. The door is still open. The countdown is still running. But beloved, it won't run forever. If you haven't done it yet, hit that like button right now. Do it so this word reaches another senior sitting alone in their living room tonight, thinking God forgot them, and stay with me. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what to do before this countdown hits 0. Here's what you need to understand. Tests before elevation are normal. Silence before a verdict is normal. But the danger isn't in being tested. The danger is in doing nothing. The danger is in recognizing your test and walking away like it doesn't matter. So the question burning in heaven right now is this: what are you going to do about it? Let me tell you something that's going to cut straight to your soul. This countdown I've been talking about, it's not ticking down to judgment, it's ticking down to decision. And for every single person watching this right now, that decision looks different. For some of you, your countdown is about unforgiveness. There's somebody, maybe it's your daughter who hasn't called in 3 years. Maybe it's your ex-husband who destroyed your 50s. Maybe it's that friend who betrayed you at church, and you've been holding on to that bitterness like it's precious, like it's protecting you. But it's not. It's poisoning you. And God is saying, let it go. Now, while there's still time. For others, it's about a call you've been running from your entire life. You felt it in your chest since you were young, that stirring, that knowing. Maybe it was to teach, to pray, to speak life into broken people. But you buried it under bills and responsibilities and the noise of just surviving. And now you're 72, sitting in your living room, and that call is knocking again, louder this time, because heaven doesn't take back assignments just because you're late. For others, and I feel this so strongly right now, it's about finally giving Jesus your whole heart, not just Sunday religion, not just saying grace before dinner. I'm talking about the kind of surrender where you stop negotiating with God and start trusting Him with the parts of your life you've kept locked away. The details are different for each of you, but the decision is the same. Will you obey God now, or will you wait? Let me paint you a picture. You've seen those elevator doors, right? The ones that close in slow motion. There's that moment, you know, the one where you're walking toward it and you can see the gap getting smaller. And there's this split second where you could step in. Your body could make it. But then there comes the point where the door is too narrow, and if you try to push through, you'll get caught. You'll get hurt. This is that moment spiritually. God has opened a door for you. I don't know what's on the other side. Maybe it's reconciliation. Maybe it's healing. Maybe it's a purpose you've been too afraid to step into. But that door is closing. Not because God is cruel, because time is sacred, because heaven operates on divine appointments, and when the appointed time passes, the opportunity passes with it. And I need to speak to something I know is screaming in your head right now. You're sitting there thinking, what can God do with me now? My body isn't what it was. I can barely walk upstairs without getting winded. I've made too many mistakes. I wasted too many years. I'm 74 years old. What kind of calling could God possibly have for someone like me? Let me answer that with scripture you already know, but have forgotten how to apply to yourself. Moses was 80 when God called him from that burning bush. 80 years old. The world would have put him in a nursing home, but God said, now you're ready. Because Moses had spent 40 years being a somebody in Pharaoh's palace, 40 years being a nobody in the wilderness, and only then, at 80, did he have what it took to be used by God. Exodus 7:7 says it plain. Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 when they spoke to Pharaoh. Abraham was 75 when God told him to leave everything and follow a promise he couldn't see. Sarah was 90 when she gave birth to Isaac. 90. Her body was way past childbearing. But Genesis 21:2 says, Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised him. Anna the prophetess was 84 when she recognized baby Jesus in the temple. 84 years of waiting, praying, believing. And she didn't miss it. Luke 2:36 tells us she never left the temple, serving God day and night. Her age wasn't her limitation, it was her qualification. You're not too late. You're perfectly timed. God doesn't call people based on their birth certificate. He calls them based on their surrender certificate. Don't let your age become your excuse when God is trying to make it your anointing. Don't let your age become your excuse when God is trying to make it your anointing. You hear me? Your wrinkles are wisdom. Your scars are credentials. Your slow walk is the measured pace of someone who knows where they're going. The very thing you think disqualifies you is exactly what qualifies you for what God is about to do. But here's what breaks my heart. I've watched too many people wait. I've sat at too many deathbeds where someone whispered, I wish I had said yes when I felt him calling. I've held too many hands of people who spent their final years regretting their hesitation instead of celebrating their obedience. You don't get to carry regret and calling at the same time. One of them has to die. And it needs to be the regret. So right now, and I mean right now, not after this video ends, not tomorrow morning, not after you think about it for another week right now, under your breath, just say it. Yes, Lord, I hear you. That's it. 3 words. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to say yes to the next step. Yes, Lord, I hear you. It doesn't solve everything yet, but it opens the door. It stops the countdown. It tells heaven, I'm listening, I'm ready, I'm scared, but I'm available. Because here's what you need to understand about God. He's not impressed by perfect people. Perfect people don't need him. Heaven responds to surrendered people, and surrender has an expiration date on it when God says, today. Hebrews 3:15 warns us. Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. Not tomorrow, today, right now. The elevator door is closing, and you're standing at the threshold. You can feel it, can't you? That pull, that urgency, that knowing that if you walk away from this message without responding, something sacred will be lost. So the question burning in the air right now isn't whether God is calling you. You already know he is. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Now we come to the part that matters most, the part where heaven stops whispering and starts demanding an answer. You see, beloved, the countdown I'm talking about isn't the same for everyone watching this. For some of you, your countdown is about unforgiveness. There's a name that's been burning in your chest for 20 years. Someone who hurt you so badly you swore you'd never let it go. And God is saying, your door won't open until you release them. For others, it's about a call you've been running from. Maybe it's to reconcile with your daughter. Maybe it's to lead that Bible study nobody else wants to touch. Maybe it's to give that testimony you've kept locked in shame. You know exactly what I'm talking about because it wakes you up at night. For others still, it's about finally giving Jesus your whole heart. Not just Sunday religion, not just prayers when you're desperate. Your whole life, the parts you've been hiding, the addictions you think are too small to mention, the bitterness you've baptized as being realistic. The details differ, but the decision is the same. Will you obey God now, or will you wait? Let me paint you a picture. You've seen those elevator doors closing in slow motion, haven't you? You're walking down the hallway, the doors start to close, and there's that split second where you could step in. You could make it. But then there's the moment where it's too late. The doors seal shut, and you're standing there watching the numbers climb, knowing you missed it. This is that moment spiritually. Right now, in this sacred space between heaven's invitation and your decision, the door is still open, but it's moving. You can feel it, can't you? That pressure in your spirit isn't condemnation, it's confirmation. God is saying, I'm still here, but I won't force you. And I know what some of you are thinking right now. I can hear it through the screen. You're sitting there saying, but what can God do with me now? I'm 73 years old. My body is not what it was. My mind forgets things. I've made too many mistakes. I've wasted too much time. Stop right there. Let me tell you something that's going to shatter that lie. God specializes in late-in-life callings. Moses was 80 years old when he stood before Pharaoh. 80, leading a nation when most men are counting down their final years. Abraham was 75 when God called him to leave everything. Sarah was 90 when she birthed the promise. These weren't young people with energy and opportunity. These were seniors who thought their story was over. But God was just warming up. You think your age disqualifies you. Your age is your anointing. Don't let your age become your excuse when God is trying to make it your authority. Every wrinkle on your face is a testimony. Every scar is a sermon. Every year you survived is proof that you're still here for a reason. The enemy wants you to believe you're too late. But late is when God does his best work. Late is when everyone stops watching so heaven can move without interference. Late is when your faith matters most because you can't rely on youth or strength anymore. You can only rely on him. But here's the urgency you need to understand. Surrender has an expiration date, not because God is impatient, because time is. Hebrews 3:15 says, "Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. Today, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not when circumstances align. Today." The countdown isn't about scaring you. It's about waking you up. It's God's mercy wrapped in urgency, because he knows that if you wait, the door will close. Not as punishment, but as protection. There are seasons in God's kingdom. And when a season ends, it ends. Noah preached for 120 years. Then God said, "Get in the ark." Genesis 7:16 tells us, "Then the Lord shut him in," not Noah, the Lord. And once that door closed, it stayed closed. The rain fell. The world flooded. And everyone outside wished they'd listened when there was still time. You don't get to decide when the door closes. You only get to decide whether you walk through it while it's open. So let me ask you something that's going to cut straight to your soul. What is God asking you to do that you've been putting off? What conversation have you been avoiding? What sin have you been excusing? What call have you been running from? Don't let your age become your excuse when God is trying to make it your anointing. Right now, under your breath, I want you to say something. Don't type it. Don't shout it. Just whisper it. Say, "Yes, Lord, I hear you." That's it. 3 words. It doesn't solve everything yet, but it cracks the door open. It tells heaven you're listening. Because here's the truth that changes everything. Heaven is not impressed by perfect people. Heaven responds to surrendered people. And surrender isn't a feeling. It's a decision you make when the clock is ticking and the door is closing, and everything in you wants to wait just one more day. But there are no more days after today. So, the question burning in the throne room of heaven right now is this: will you cross the threshold while there's still time, or will you spend eternity wondering what could have been if you'd just said yes when God was still asking? So you said yes. You typed those words in the comments. You felt that fire ignite in your chest. You meant it when you told God, "I'm ready. Use me. I won't waste another day." And then everything fell apart. Let me tell you something they don't warn you about in Sunday school. After a real yes to God, not the lip service kind, but the bone-deep surrender, don't be surprised if all hell breaks loose. The enemy doesn't sit quietly sipping tea while you step toward your destiny. He mobilizes, he attacks, he comes at you with everything he's got. And I need you to hear this clearly. That's not proof you made the wrong decision. That's proof you made the right one. Think about what just happened in the spirit realm. For years, maybe decades, you've been coasting, going through the motions, praying safe prayers, living small, and hell left you alone because you weren't a threat. You were neutralized, comfortable, asleep. But the moment you opened your mouth and declared, "I'm still here," Lord, the moment you decided that this countdown wasn't going to run out on you, something shifted. An alarm went off in the spiritual atmosphere. The enemy realized they're not asleep anymore. They're getting up. They're moving toward that door. And now he's scared. Let me tell you exactly what's coming. Because if I don't prepare you, the moment it hits, you're going to think God abandoned you. You're going to think that video wasn't real, that moment wasn't God, that you imagined the whole thing. First, the family drama. Out of nowhere, your daughter calls with that tone in her voice. Your son starts an argument over nothing. Your spouse suddenly questions everything you're doing. Why are you watching those videos? Why are you acting different? What's gotten into you? It's not random, it's strategic. Second, your body. That knee that was fine yesterday, suddenly screaming. That blood pressure that was stable, spiking. That anxiety you thought you'd conquered, back with a vengeance. And the enemy whispers, "See, you're too old, too sick, too broken, sit back down." Third, the old temptations. That bitterness toward your ex-husband you thought you'd forgiven, flooding back. That jealousy of your sister's perfect life, choking you. That depression that almost took you out in 2008, knocking on your door again like an unwelcome guest who knows where you hide the spare key. And fourth, this is the deadliest one, the doubt. You wake up at 4 a.m. and think, did I imagine that moment? Was I just being emotional? That preacher doesn't even know me. How could a YouTube video be God speaking to me? Listen to me. That's not wisdom. That's warfare. Job 1-6 tells us Satan stands before God and accuses the faithful. He's been doing it since the beginning. And right now, he's standing before the throne saying, they won't follow through. Watch. Give me 72 hours and they'll quit, just like they always do. But here's what hell didn't count on. You're not who you used to be. You've survived too much to be scared by a little pushback. You've buried too many people to be intimidated by spiritual opposition. You've walked through too many valleys to turn back now because the road got bumpy. The closer you get to that door God opened for you, the more crowded the hallway becomes. Distractions everywhere, delays stacking up. Drama from people who haven't called you in months suddenly needing your attention right now. Bills that should have been fine suddenly aren't. Plans that should have worked suddenly don't. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. The hallway is crowded because the door is real. Think about when the Israelites were almost out of Egypt. Exodus 14. They could see the Red Sea ahead. Freedom was tangible. And what happened? Pharaoh changed his mind. Sent his entire army after them. 600 chariots bearing down on freed slaves who had no weapons, no training, no plan. And the people panicked. They turned to Moses and said, "Why did you bring us out here to die? We should have stayed slaves." But God said, "Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. The attack wasn't proof they'd made the wrong choice. It was proof they were about to witness something impossible. Right now, some of you are in that moment. The enemy is bearing down. The walls feel like they're closing in. Everything that could go wrong is going wrong. And you're thinking, maybe I should just go back to how things were, but you can't. You know too much now. You've heard the countdown. You've felt the urgency. You've seen the door. And there's no going back to sleep once you've been awakened. If you're facing weird resistance right now, if suddenly everything in your life is harder than it was 3 days ago, type this in the comments. I won't turn back. Not because you're strong enough, because He is. And the storm you're in right now is not proof you're wrong. It's proof that hell finally took you seriously. So let me ask you this. If the enemy is throwing everything he has at you right now, what does that tell you about what's waiting on the other side of that door? You want to know why heaven won't let you sleep through this? Because something is about to arrive at your address, not your inbox, not your mailbox, your actual door. I need to tell you something that's been burning in my spirit for 3 days now. I keep seeing a door, not the door in the hallway of your apartment building, not the screen door on your porch where you sit watching the neighborhood change. I'm talking about a spiritual door. And standing in front of it, with his hand already raised to knock, is Michael, the archangel, the protector, the one who fights battles you can't even see. Some of you just felt your chest tighten. That's recognition. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. Somebody is coming, not someday, soon. It might be a phone call from a number you don't recognize. It might be a neighbor you've barely spoken to in 5 years, suddenly knocking with something urgent to tell you. It might be that estranged relative, the one you've written off, showing up unannounced with tears in their eyes and words you never expected. And you're going to be tempted to ignore it. You've been hurt too many times. You learned a long time ago that the safest way to survive is to stop answering. Stop hoping. Stop opening the door to anyone who might let you down again. You've built walls so thick that even love has to scream to get through. I understand. After 70, 80 years of disappointment, you earned the right to protect your heart. But what if heaven is using that very person you've been avoiding? Hebrews 13:2 says this, "Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares." Angels don't always look like angels, beloved. Sometimes they look like the mailman who lingers too long, asking how you're doing. Sometimes they look like the church lady you've been dodging because you're tired of small talk. Sometimes they look like your own grandchild finally calling after months of silence. When that knock comes, don't just hear knuckles on wood. Hear heaven saying, "I found you. I heard your 3 a.m. prayers. I saw you crying in the dark, and I'm sending proof that you're not forgotten." You think I'm being dramatic? Let me tell you about Margaret. 76 years old, living alone in the Bronx for 12 years since her husband passed. She stopped answering her phone, stopped going to church, stopped believing anyone cared. Then one Tuesday morning, somebody knocked. She almost didn't answer, but something made her open that door. It was her daughter. The daughter she hadn't spoken to in 8 years. After a fight, neither of them could even remember the details of anymore. And that daughter said 5 words, "Mom, I need you back." That wasn't coincidence. That was Michael clearing the path. Some doors God opens from the outside in. He doesn't wait for you to find the courage. He sends someone to you. But here's what breaks my heart. How many of you have already missed the knock? How many times has heaven sent a visitor and you pretended you weren't home? You saw the caller ID and let it ring. You heard the knock and stayed quiet until they walked away. You got the message and deleted it before you even read it. You've been so used to shutting people out to protect your heart that you might be about to slam the door on the very thing you've been praying for. In Revelation 3:20, Jesus says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him." But notice something. He doesn't break the door down. He doesn't force his way in. He knocks. And he waits. The countdown isn't about how long you have left to live. It's about how long that door stays unlocked. Right now, I need you to do something. If this is resonating in your spirit, if you're feeling that flutter in your chest that says, this word is for you, write in the comments, Lord, I'm ready to open the door. Say it out loud too, even if you're alone. Let your walls know they're coming down. Let the enemy know his isolation tactics just expired. Because I'm about to tell you something that's going to sound impossible, but it's true. The next unexpected knock at your door might not be a bill collector. It might not be a salesman. It might not be bad news. It might be the proof that the countdown just turned into a visitation. It might be the angel you've been asking God to send for 20 years, disguised as someone you almost ignored. But here's the question that's going to determine everything. When heaven finally shows up at your address, will you be brave enough to turn the handle? You know what nobody talks about? The loneliness of being the only one in your family who still believes God has something left for you. I'm talking to the grandmother who just got off a phone call with her daughter. You tried to share what God's been showing you, what's been burning in your spirit at 4 a.m., and she said with that tone, "You know the tone, Mom. You're spending too much time on those religious videos again. Like your faith is a hobby. Like seeking God is some kind of senior citizen phase you're going through." I'm talking to the grandfather whose grandson came over last Sunday. You wanted to tell him about the door God's opening, about the countdown you're feeling, about the urgency in your chest, but he never looked up from his phone. Not once. 17 years old, sitting 3 feet away from you, and you might as well have been invisible. For some of you, the people closest to you don't get this side of you, the side that still believes, still hopes, still hears God's voice when the house goes quiet. They think you're losing touch with reality, when actually, you're the only one in the family who's still in touch with eternity. And that hurts, doesn't it, after everything you've sacrificed? After all the years you prayed over them when they were babies, when they were sick, when they were making mistakes you saw coming from a mile away. You held the family together through storms they'll never know about. And now they think you're the one who needs help. Let me tell you something that's going to cut deep, but it needs to be said. Your children don't understand the door you're walking through because they're not standing where you're standing. They can't see what you see because they haven't lived what you've lived. They haven't buried what you've buried. They haven't survived what you've survived. 1 Corinthians 2:14 says it plainly. The person without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God, but considers them foolishness and cannot understand them because they are discerned spiritually. They can't understand because they're not tuned to the frequency you're hearing. But here's what's breaking my heart right now. Some of you are starting to doubt yourselves because your family doubts you. You're second-guessing what God told you in prayer because your daughter raised her eyebrows. You're dimming your light because your son thinks you're too intense about Jesus. Stop. Right there. Stop. You are not just the older one in the family. You are the prayer backbone they don't even know they're standing on. Every morning you've gotten up before dawn to pray for them. That's not tradition. That's warfare. Every tear you've cried over their choices, that wasn't weakness. That was intercession. Every time you've bitten your tongue, instead of saying, "I told you so," that was grace they never earned, but you gave anyway. Think about Noah. Genesis 6 tells us God gave him 120 years to build that ark. 120 years. And for 120 years, his family, his neighbors, everyone who knew him thought he'd lost his mind. There's never been rain, Noah. What's a flood? You're embarrassing yourself. But Noah kept building. He kept hammering. He kept preparing for a door only he could see. And when the flood came, when the door of that ark finally closed, every person who mocked him would have given anything to be on the other side of his obedience. You're Noah in your family. They can't see the flood coming. They can't see the door, but you can. And your job isn't to make them understand. Your job is to walk through it anyway. Let me give you a picture that might help. Think about lighthouses on old coasts. You've probably seen one if you've ever been out to Montauk, or up to Maine, or down the Jersey Shore. Those lighthouses are usually old structures, weathered, Been standing for 50, 100, 150 years. Storms have hit them. Hurricanes, nor'easters, salt and wind trying to tear them down. But they're still there. Still standing. Still shining. Here's the thing about lighthouses. They don't move. Ships do. The lighthouse doesn't chase the boats, doesn't beg them to pay attention, doesn't dim its light when vessels sail past in the dark. It just keeps shining. Constant. Faithful. Unmoved. And eventually, when the storm hits, when the fog rolls in, when the captain realizes he's lost and the rocks are close, that's when he looks for the lighthouse. That's when he's grateful somebody kept that light burning. Your family may not understand the door you're walking through right now, but your obedience to walk through it anyway, that becomes a door for them too. Your faithfulness creates a path they'll need someday. Your prayers are building an ark they don't know they're going to need. I need you to do something right now. It's going to feel strange, but trust me. Think of one person in your family who doesn't understand. One person who rolls their eyes when you talk about God. One person who's walking away from faith, from family, from everything you tried to teach them. Got their face in your mind? Good. Now speak their name softly. Right where you are, whisper it to the God who hears everything. And then type just their first initial in the comments. Not their full name, just the initial, as a sign to heaven that you're standing in the door for them. Because that's what this door is really about. It's not just for you. It's for everyone connected to your bloodline. It's for the grandson who won't look up from his phone. It's for the daughter who thinks you're overdoing it with Jesus. It's for the son who moved across the country and calls once a month, if you're lucky. When you walk through the door God opened for you, you're not walking alone. You're pulling your family through with you, whether they know it or not. Your obedience today is their salvation tomorrow. Hebrews 11:7 says Noah became heir of the righteousness that is in keeping with faith. His faithfulness didn't just save him, it saved his sons, their wives, his entire lineage. Your name isn't Noah, but you're doing the same thing, building something in faith that your family will survive because of. One day, they'll thank God you didn't let your heart shut down when theirs did. One day, they'll understand why you kept that light burning when it would have been easier to just go dark and blend in. One day, they'll need the door you walked through first. But here's the question that should terrify you and wake you up at the same time. What if you let their skepticism stop you? What if you let their eye rolls shut the door God opened? What if you miss your moment because you were too busy trying to convince people who aren't ready to see? Because the countdown doesn't stop just because your family doesn't believe it. The door doesn't stay open forever just because they're not ready. And if you're waiting for their permission to obey God, you're going to miss what He called you to do. So tell me right now, are you going to keep shining? Or are you going to dim your light because they can't handle the brightness? So you said yes to God. You stepped through that door of obedience. You made the decision. You surrendered. You finally let go of what you were holding on to. And now, nothing. Silence. The door closed behind you, but the room you were promised isn't anywhere in sight. Instead, you're standing in a hallway, grey, long, empty, and you're asking yourself the question that's eating you alive. Did I miss something? Did I hear Him wrong? Dear one, you're not lost. You're in the corridor. You've stepped through the door of obedience, but you're not yet in the promised room. You're in the hallway, not where you were, not yet where you're going. And this hallway, it's the most dangerous place in your spiritual journey. Not because God has abandoned you, because this is where most people turn around and walk back. Let me tell you something about corridors that nobody warned you about. They look like nothing is happening. They feel like you made a mistake. They whisper that you were a fool to believe God would actually move in your life at 73 years old. But here's what's really going on while you're standing in that empty hallway, feeling forgotten. You've spent enough time in waiting rooms in your life, haven't you? Hospital chairs that smell like disinfectant and broken dreams. DMV lines where you take a number and watch the clock tick while people who came after you somehow get called before you. Social security offices where you sit with your paperwork, your proof, your life condensed into manila folders, waiting for someone behind bulletproof glass to decide if you're worthy. You know what waiting feels like. You know what it's like to wonder if they lost your file, if they forgot your name, if you're going to die in this plastic chair before anyone acknowledges you exist. This is heaven's version of that waiting room. Except God didn't lose your file. He's preparing your room. But right now, you don't feel that, do you? Right now you're feeling three things, and I need to name them because the enemy is using them to convince you to leave the corridor. First, confusion. Did anything really change? You expected transformation. You expected immediate evidence that obeying God was the right decision. Instead, your bank account still looks the same. Your body still hurts the same. Your children still don't call. Nothing seems different. So you're thinking, maybe you made it all up. Maybe that stirring in your spirit was just indigestion. Maybe God speaks to other people, but not to you. Second doubt. And this one cuts deeper. Because doubt doesn't just question what happened, it questions who you are. Maybe I'm not actually chosen. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I'm just a lonely old person desperate for meaning, creating spiritual experiences out of wishful thinking. The enemy loves this corridor because doubt grows in silence like mold in darkness. Third, loneliness. Look around your life right now. Who's walking this path with you? Your friends don't understand why you're suddenly so serious about God. Your family thinks you're going through a phase. The people at church smile and nod, but they're not in this hallway with you. You're walking alone, and that loneliness makes you wonder if you're the crazy one. But listen to me carefully, chosen one. Just because it's quiet doesn't mean you've been forgotten. It just means it's not your number yet. Abraham waited 25 years between the promise and Isaac. 25 years. Can you imagine? Every month, Sarah's body reminded them they were getting older, not younger. Every year that passed was another year of looking foolish to everyone who knew God had promised them a child. But Genesis 21:2 says, Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised him. At the very time, not early, not late. At the very time, Joseph waited 13 years between the dream and the throne. 13 years of slavery and prison. Do you think he wondered if those dreams meant anything? Do you think he questioned whether God had forgotten him? But Genesis 41:46 tells us Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. The math is precise. The timing was perfect. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before God called him from the burning bush. 40 years of thinking he'd missed his chance, blown his opportunity, disqualified himself. But Exodus 3:2 says, There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. After 40 years of silence, God showed up. Not before Moses was ready, when Moses was ready. The corridor isn't punishment, beloved. It's preparation. But here's what you need to understand about preparation. It doesn't feel inspiring. It feels boring, frustrating, wasteful. You're standing in this hallway thinking, I don't have time for this. I'm 78 years old. I don't have 40 years to wait. But God isn't asking you to wait 40 years. He's asking you to wait until your number is called. And while you wait, He's asking you to do something most people refuse to do. He's asking you to practice corridor faith. What's corridor faith? It's the daily choice to believe God when nothing around you confirms it. It's waking up every morning and saying, Lord, I'm still here. I'm still listening. I'm still trusting you even though I can't see what you're doing. Let me give you 3 corridor practices that will keep you alive in this hallway when everything in you wants to turn around and go back. First, daily short prayer. Not long, not fancy, just honest. God, I'm still standing in your corridor. I'm scared, I'm confused, but I'm not leaving. That's it. 30 seconds. Every morning before your feet hit the floor. Second one, small act of faith per day. Not dramatic, not public. Just one thing that proves you still believe. Send an encouraging text to someone. Read one psalm out loud. Write one sentence in a journal about what you're trusting God for. One act, every day. Because faith isn't a feeling, it's a decision made in small increments. Third Thanksgiving list instead of complaint list. This one's going to test you. Every night before bed, write down 3 things God has already done. Not 3 things you're waiting for Him to do. 3 things He's already done. Because complaint breeds in corridors like bacteria. But gratitude is disinfectant. If you're in the hallway right now, if you're standing in that empty space between obedience and manifestation, write this in the comments. I won't leave this corridor until God calls my name. Say it out loud. Let heaven hear you. Because the enemy is watching this hallway, waiting for you to give up. He's counting on you to turn around. He's betting that you'll decide it's not worth it. But you're not giving him that satisfaction. The hallway is not punishment, it's preparation. And preparation always precedes promotion. But here's the question that's about to change everything. What if the door you're waiting to open isn't ahead of you at all? What if it's already behind you, and you've been so focused on what's coming that you missed what God already released? Let me tell you something deep. Something that's going to hit you like a 2 a.m. phone call that changes everything. The greatest door God wanted to open in this countdown wasn't in your city. It wasn't at your bank. It wasn't even in your situation. It was in your chest. Listen to me carefully, beloved. You've been praying for God to open doors around you, new opportunities, financial breakthrough, reconciled relationships. And all this time, God has been standing at a different door. The one you bolted shut 40 years ago. The one you painted over. The one you swore nobody would ever see behind. Some of you are like those old brownstones in Brooklyn. Beautiful on the outside, weathered, full of history, full of stories. But there's one room you've kept locked for decades. Maybe it's the back bedroom. Maybe it's the basement. Maybe it's that closet you walk past every single day, pretending it doesn't exist. God used this countdown to get you to hand Him that key. You know what I'm talking about. That locked room holds things you've never spoken out loud. The divorce that shattered you in 1987 and you still blame yourself. The abortion you had at 19 that nobody knows about, but you see that child's face every single day. The affair that ended 30 years ago, but the guilt is still eating you alive. The bottle you hid from your kids, the rage you unleashed on people who loved you, the child you buried and you've been angry at God ever since. The words you can never take back, the person you never forgave, the version of yourself you locked away because she was too broken, too ashamed, too damaged to let anyone see. That room is why you've been stuck. That room is why breakthrough keeps hitting a wall. That room is why you can pray all day and still feel empty at night. Because, beloved, before God changes your address, He changes your heart. The inner door always opens first. Jesus said something in Revelation 3:20 that most people get backwards. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in. We think He's talking about salvation, but He was talking to the church, to believers. He's standing at an inner door, the door to the room where you keep your secrets, your shame, your pain, your locked up grief. And He's been knocking, not to condemn you, to heal you. But you can't heal what you won't reveal. You can't break what you won't bring to light. You can't resurrect what you keep buried in that locked room of your soul. Some of you right now, your hand is shaking, your chest is tight, because you know exactly what room I'm talking about. You've walked past it for 50 years. You've pretended it doesn't matter. You've told yourself you dealt with it. You've convinced yourself that time heals all wounds. But time doesn't heal. Time just gives wounds more years to fester in the dark. God is saying tonight, it's time. Hand me the key. Open the door. Let me into the room you swore nobody would ever see. Here's what's wild about God. When He enters that room, He doesn't recoil. He doesn't gasp. He doesn't condemn. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. He walks into your most shameful room and calls it holy ground, because any place surrendered to God becomes sacred. The abortion? He doesn't see murder. He sees a daughter who's been carrying a weight that was never hers to carry. The affair? He doesn't see adultery. He sees a heart that was searching for love in the wrong place because it never learned it was already loved. The rage? He doesn't see a monster. He sees a child of God who was hurting so bad they didn't know how else to express it. Everything outside you changes when the locked room inside you finally belongs to God. This is the door the countdown was about. Not the door to your next chapter, the door to your healed heart. Not the door to your breakthrough, the door to your freedom. I need you to do something right now. Don't skip this. Put your hand on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. That's not just blood pumping. That's God knocking. One more time. Picture that locked room in your spirit, the one you've been hiding, the one that holds your deepest shame, your oldest wound, your most guarded secret. And say these words out loud, right where you are. Lord, I open this door to you. No more hiding. No more locking you out. Did you feel that? That shift in the atmosphere, that release in your chest? That's not emotion, that's liberation. The countdown brought you here, to this moment, to this surrender, to this opening. If you felt something move in you just now, even slightly, write in the comments, "The real door is open now." That's not for me. That's for you to remember. That's your timestamp, your spiritual marker. The moment the room that held you hostage for decades finally surrendered to the only one who can transform it. Because here's what happens next. Once the inner door opens, beloved, the outer doors don't just crack open, they explode off their hinges. But you had to let him in first. Now the question is, what happens to someone who finally unlocked the room they've been hiding from God for half a century? Beloved, as we come to the end of this word, I need you to hold on to 3 truths that will anchor your soul in the days ahead. First, the countdown isn't about fear, it's about focus. God is waking you up to divine timing, not to terrify you, but to activate you. Second, the door he's been trying to open was never external, it was the locked room in your heart. And third, you didn't find this message by accident. Heaven interrupted your scroll because your moment is now. But here's what I need you to hear with everything in you. You are not walking this alone. He hasn't brought you this far to abandon you now. He's been faithful for 70, 80, 90 years of your life, and he's not stopping today. And beyond God's faithfulness, you have us. This community right here. Thousands of chosen ones who understand what you're feeling because they've felt it too. We're not just viewers on a screen, we're a family. And families pray for each other. So let me ask you this. Now that you know the countdown has begun, now that you've opened that inner door, what are you going to do with the time you have left? Before you go, let me pray over you. Wherever you are right now, I want you to feel the weight of heaven's hand on your shoulder. Father God, I come before your throne right now, lifting up every precious soul who has heard this word. Lord, you see them. You know their names. You know the rooms they've kept locked. You know the fears they carry about running out of time. And you know the destiny that's been waiting for them to wake up. God, I pray that you would silence every voice of doubt, every whisper of too late, every lie that says they've missed their moment. Open their eyes to see the doors you're opening. Give them courage to walk through before the countdown ends. Bless their families, Lord. Heal their bodies. Provide for their needs. Restore what the enemy has stolen. And most of all, Father, give them peace. The kind of peace that surpasses understanding. The kind that says, I don't know how much time I have left, but I know whose hands hold my days. In Jesus' mighty name, I seal this word over their lives. Amen. Now, I want to hear from you. Comment below and tell me, what door is God opening for you? What room did you finally unlock? Ask for prayer, we will surround you. And please, share this message with someone who's been feeling that same countdown in their spirit. They need to know they're not alone. Thank you for staying with me through this entire word. Thank you for opening your heart. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. This is just the beginning of what God wants to reveal to you. The countdown has begun, beloved, but so has your breakthrough. Go in peace, go in power, and go knowing your time is now.